The following is a presentation of the Black Hollywood Live Network, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is Black Hollywood Live, Breaking Into. Featuring in-depth interviews with today's most influential entertainment figures, highlighting their tips, tricks, and techniques on breaking into the entertainment industry.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host of Black Hollywood Live, Breaking Into.
Hey everyone, you're watching Breaking Into. I'm your host, Derrial, Christon, and here joining me is Jessica King.
Hello.
Our very special guest today, he is a DJ, he is a radio personality, he is a program director for KDAY LA. We have Adrian Scott with us today. How you doing, Adrian?
I'm good. Thank you for the intro. It's been a while since I've been an on-air personality, though, so I just give you that disclaimer.
Give it a little disclaimer.
Those days are over.
Those days are over.
Yeah.
But you know what? It all works in the same arena.
I mean, that's how it started. Right. And you did it right. I started as a DJ, then a personality to a programmer, so you got it right.
Well, I'm glad we got the order right.
Appreciate that.
So now you grew up in Long Beach, California,
yes,
right? So that's what, like 45 minutes from LA, which is the obviously Hollywood, glitz and glamour of everything.
Absolutely.
At what point did you realize that you were going to have a career in radio?
It's funny. My brother was in it first. And I give him credit, then I'll take it back because he usually gets me during Christmas time. But my brother was a DJ first, and I want to be like my older brother. And he was 6 years older than me, but I want to be better than him. Right, so that was the goal for me. So when he got a radio job in San Diego, and right after I graduated from high school, he got me in, and I haven't left since. So
got you hooked.
Now I'm here still, 18 years later.
Tell us, speaking of San Diego, your first radio job was at XHTZ. Tell us about some of the steps you took to get that first gig.
Well, like you said, I started off as a DJ. So I remember I got my first credit card, and it had $1,000 on it. Mm-hmm. And I went and I maxed it out because I bought 2 turntables and a mixer. Okay, by the way, which I still own. Which
wow.
is ironic. And I practiced, and then when my brother got the job in San Diego, because he used to work for a station here in LA, he said, listen, I got this job. You can mix live on a radio station. It's from 2 in the morning to 5 a.m. on Sunday morning. So really Sunday morning. And I was living in Long Beach. I had a VW Bug. I said, I'll take it. So I drove every weekend to San Diego for about a good 6-7 months. And then they said, hey, we got this position here. You can mix every day from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. for $50 a day. Wow. You want it? I said, absolutely. I'm there. So... and I haven't left since.
That's a long drive.
Yeah.
How important do you think internships are in the radio business?
Well, just you have to ask yourself, what would you want to accomplish in radio?
Right.
And then if your ideal job is to be on the air, then an internship is really good because you can kind of see and learn the intricacies of how it goes down as far as a radio show and, show prep and the whole 9 yards. So if that's something you want to be on the air, then obviously an internship is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then you obviously have had a long career in radio.
Yeah.
And then most people have to start off at the bottom, either as an intern or, the very beginning stages of being at a radio station. How did you prove yourself once you got in to be able to advance your career so quickly?
Well, like I said, I as a mixer first, I practiced every day. I was creative programming wise. I wanted to set myself apart from the other mixers at the radio station. I would try to find ways to make the music that we were already playing better.
Yeah. And
I used to always just practice. I would practice 5 hours a day. I remember before I even got the job at the radio station, living with my parents, I had the turntables in the closet. And I used to, and my dad like, please turn it down. I was like, no, I'm getting there. So just practice. For me, it was practice, learning my craft, learning my skill to the point that it just came naturally. And then that evolved to being saying, okay, I done mixing. Now I want to be on the air.
Yeah.
And at first, on air wasn't my goal. I wanted to be Kid Capri.
That's a good person to be.
That was my guy. I'm rocking the parties. But then, my brother, who was still working at the radio station at the time, says, listen, we need somebody on air. So threw myself on. I was nervous at first, and then you kind of it's like this. You get the hang of it, and you start to like it, and the listeners call you, and then you're having a good time, so everybody's happy.
Well, since San Diego, you've worked in Palm Springs, you've worked in Las Vegas, now you're back in LA. Considering you're from Long Beach, all of those locations are fairly close to home, which I feel is not too heard of in the radio business because a lot of people have to start in, Timbuktu, Wyoming, or something like
Small
that, and
markets.
eventually circle their way back. How did you get so lucky to get gigs in these great cities and stay fairly close to home for the most part?
Well, I mean, got lucky to begin with, and I always tell people this, and I think this is with any profession. Luck will get you through the door. Talent will keep you.
That's true.
Okay? So I was lucky to get in. Then I perfected my skill and craft, and then the Palm Springs gig came apart because it was a full-time on-air shift. So I decided, and not knowing, and we know this is it's a radio TV thing, that market size is important.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at 17 years old. And then somebody says, "Hey, you want to do nights?" Okay,
Sure.
let's do nights. So for me, clearly, my style, I guess, or the music that I play kind of fits the whole region.
Yeah.
So I don't need to go to New York, which I did work in New York for 2 years, and North Carolina too. That, this is kind of my style, my vibe, my city, my life, and Las Vegas and Palm Springs, and they're all little subsidiary LA cities anyway, because everybody lives in LA.
Yeah,
moves out
exactly.
eventually, so therefore, that's what happened.
And then when you're trying to kind of advance in your career, is it easier to start off in a smaller market or go into a larger market? And how plentiful are those jobs?
Well, the jobs are very limited, and I always tell people, get in where you can, whether it be Timbuktu, whether it be, it's hard to be in LA. These jocks ain't left LA.
It's tough. Yeah.
There is
It's
the
tough
same
market.
talent that's been here for the last 20 years.
Yeah, that's true.
So get in where you can. If you love the craft, and I did, which I was willing to move and sacrifice and move away from my family. If you want to do it, just do it. I don't care where it's at. If you love it, if you like to get on a mic, you like to talk to people, you want to say hello, I would say take it, because you never know, and that leads to other things.
Did you always kind of know you'd be back?
I was always hoping I would come back. I mean, it's kind of like full circle for me. I eventually, growing up here and listening to KDAY, that's how it all started as far as the music wise.
Right.
Because I was a music fan first. Didn't know if I was a DJ yet until my brother got into it, but I was always a music guy.
Yeah.
And I used to emulate Cube and them on my cassette tapes back in the day. Now we dating
Cassette
ourselves.
tapes. That's what I've not heard in a while.
So we dating ourselves, and I used to go to the swap meet and buy them. And
man.
But get in where you can. Get in where you can. Get in where you can.
Take note.
Take that message.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you've faced with starting a career in radio?
Challenges as well. Trying to be ahead of the curve. Clearly, digital and trying to be ahead of everybody, because radio can be a little placid, and they kind of, and then satellite came into place, so everybody thought that they were going to take our jobs, and on the terrestrial side, but just trying to evolve things, because there's a lot of options.
Right.
So why come to me? So that was always the goal for me, is to say, okay, if you're going to come to me, just come for me for a reason.
Right.
And then also with working in these different markets, you mentioned like also Vegas and San Diego. What is the challenge of kind of staying motivated when you go into these markets that aren't necessarily the markets you want to be in?
Well, I mean, once again, you get to see it, a new life, but the same life, meaning, and the energy is different. Yeah. And I always tell people, and this is just a true story, LA is the wrong place to be a talent if you're starting out. And I'm going to tell you why. Because in any other market, you're a star.
Yeah, that's true.
Because there's no stars in the market.
That's true.
LA, there's stars everywhere.
Yeah.
So radio guys are no different, just a little step above of a busboy. I mean, because there's really stars. We could be driving right now. Will Smith is at the Beverly Center.
That's very true.
So people who live in this city are not, we're not, they look at radio people, just people who play music. But if in these other markets, there's stars. These radio DJs in these other cities, they are the Jay-Z and Beyonce's in their market. So that was always cool for me, because especially when I went to North Carolina, and that which was Greensboro, Charlotte area, being an LA guy, knowing LA people put you above everybody else.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool to be like, oh man. And then first thing everybody says, you ever been to Compton? Like, yeah. Down the street from Long Beach. But those are fun to see other people live their life, but at the same time be fascinated by what you do.
That's true.
And I liked it.
Well, you've performed gigs for some pretty big timers, Shaquille O'Neal, Tyrese, Bone Thugs and Harmony. How did you build such an A-list clientele?
Just being around, being humble, and talk to them, treat people like regular people. And I think celebrities and performers want to be treated like regular people. And I think that over the years, the rapport has been always good. And, you know, they need a favor, they will call me, and likewise. So I happened to get lucky, especially I was in the Vegas market, which is, anybody knows Vegas is glitz and glamour times 12.
Yeah, I think it beats LA in the glitz and glamour.
Absolutely. And I was there 10 years ago. So now it's even glitzier.
Yeah.
So just the connections I had in radio. I mean, it's been a very good journey so far.
Who has been your favorite celebrity to work with?
Oh man, so many. I'll tell you a story. My favorite story was I was doing a radio interview and LL Cool J came to the station. And he was like, I'm going to the fight. And he's like, you want to go?
Whoa.
And I said, you want to go to the
Like, you don't need to ask me that question. I'm in the car. Right.
I was like, today, you know? And he's like, yeah, let's just go to the fight. So he says, listen, had a great interview. Let's go to the fight. And we watched the I forgot which fight it was, but in Vegas. And I thought that was cool because we had a good time.
Yeah.
And then me and him just walked to the fight. Now, the problem with that is that you don't want to be next to LL.
I was going to say, how is it walking in the fight with LL? You know
it's
what I mean?
Like, get out of the way, you know? But that was... Thank you, LL, for that. That was a very good time. By the way, and I bought my own drinks, just for the record.
Nice.
LL didn't support the bill. He only bought the tickets.
All right. Well, and you bought his drinks as well.
I did buy him a drink as well.
Hey, that's big player right there. That's that DJ and personality money right there.
I got a little bit. I said, hey, 2
Drinks
Coronas.
on me.
2 Coronas, that's it. Cut it off at 2.
Happy hour.
Yeah.
And then now with DJing, you obviously have to have a lot of personality, right?
Yes.
So what are some of the suggestions that you would give to people who are DJs who want to keep their crowd motivated and their listeners really in tune with what they're doing and coming back for more?
Well, as far as on air, or as far as like a club DJ?
I would say describe both. Like, let's start off with on air and then let's go to the club.
Well, on air is a little different. I mean, because at the end of the day, you're talking to yourself. So I always tell my jocks who work for me is like, you got to imagine you're talking to people in front of you. And what I've done in the studios, I haven't done it lately in KDAY, is I used to cut out people and put them in the studio so you know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
So you have to be creative. And then people who are in the business all used to talk to themselves anyway. Not in a bad sense, but people talk to themselves, and that's how they become jocks. So I always tell them, keep in mind who you're talking to, who's your target listener. Get in, get out. People don't like a lot of talk. People are here for the music. You know, you got to be added value to the music. As far as a club DJs, it just depends on the club, depends on the DJ, depends on what you like. Some people go to clubs, they want the person talking on the mic. I know that's more of an East Coast thing. And, you know, more of the West Coast thing is about the music, the programming style of it. You know, there's so many different types of DJs now with the EDM, the Serato. When I started, we had crates.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, used to walk in the club with 9 different crates stacked high on a dolly. Now you just bring a laptop. And
that's what's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like, just watching the DJs now, like you were saying, back in the day, I remember friends having crates, and some do, the old, you know, my old school friends do, but now it's like everybody, literally, they pull out their CDs and they're just mixing around their laptop. I'm like, and these are big DJs. We just did a special on something that Maria does for Ease Untold, and it was about how large DJs have gotten like around the world. Right. And all the largest DJs who are getting like $500,000 a year are still bringing in a laptop computer for the volumes of these millions of people who are listening to them. It's crazy to me.
I actually think it's good because you're evolving, you know, and I'm not one of those believers, you know, as much as I started in the wax era, as we call it, I'm glad that it went digital because, you know, it's a cleaner sound, and you know, you don't have to carry all that weight.
Yeah, I was like, why have to carry all that?
I was better in shape though. You know, those guys are here, just bring a backpack across the plane, so it's all good.
Yeah. Well, when you're on air, how do you go about choosing the material that you're going to use that's going to keep your audience entertained? Well,
we'll take KDAY for example, and you know what I tell the talent is, you know, for us, we play a lot of old school music, and that's the format, but you know, look at your log, look at who you're going to play. The log is already there. It's all predetermined. And then, you know, try to find things inside those logs that make sense, you know, whether it be if you're playing Snoop Dogg and Snoop and Iggy's having a problem, you know, you can take from the music and make it into your own. That's what's called show prep. And just like what you guys do your homework first, and then, you know, for radio, it's just knowing the music, number one. You should know your artists. And usually 99% of them do, because they are fans of the music first, so they'll know what's going on. So that's for them, just to do your homework, show prep, and look at the log and talk about the people who you're playing.
And then nowadays we have the social media craze, obviously.
Absolutely.
So you have YouTube people who are becoming personalities and stars. Has that affected the radio business by any chance?
No, because at the end of the day, for local radio, it's local radio. You know, if you're from LA, you want to hear what's going on in LA.
Yeah.
That's why news is still here. That's why local radio will always be here, because at the end of the day, you know, California, Southern Cali guy, you know, I want to know what's going on Crenshaw, Slauson. I want to know what's going on in Hollywood, and they can't do that for me if they sitting in the studio in Kansas.
Yeah.
They're just being funny, and I think personalities are personalities. But as far as radio, you have to engage your listeners, you have to engage your local audience and embrace it.
Yeah.
And then what are some of your biggest challenges or changes really that you've seen in the radio industry since you started to where it is right now? I know you mentioned the crates to the just laptops, but what are some of the other changes?
Well, I mean, when I started, we had reel to reel. I don't know if anybody knows.
What is that? What does that mean?
Reel to reel was originally, that's how you recorded commercials. And what it was, these huge giant reels, and it had like this tape, and you had to cut it and re-record over it and glue it together and tape it together. I mean, we're talking, that's how I started. And it was even also 8-track tapes when I started radio.
Yeah.
And you had to go find
So you keep going back. You talked about cassettes. Now we have 8 tracks.
Yeah.
I'm like, man.
I'm taking away.
Yeah, man. I've been around. I'm dating myself here. Jesus.
You still got the baby face, man.
I hope so. You know, they say we don't crack, so I'm hoping I'm living up to that. But yeah, it's. I'm glad that it's changed. But for us, social media has became an intricate part of the radio station, and digitally. The goal is to get them back to the dial. That's for us, you know. But you need social media. You know, radio personalities are really TV guys now. At first, you didn't know a radio face, right? But now they gotta go to work looking pretty. They gotta dress nice. They got a camera here. People really like to see what's going on.
They do.
So we try to give them as much access to us as possible, even though we still want them on the dial.
Well, we already touched a little bit on the fact that you've done live DJing, and you also obviously work for radio. Is there a lot more pressure that comes along with DJing for a live audience as opposed to being on the radio, kind of being in comfort zone?
No, because when you're a DJ, I was a DJ first, you're a fan of the music. So you get a high off of other people having a good time. And I think that's the easy part. You know, the hard part is clearing the dance floor.
Yeah.
Now that's a whole different story. But if you're having a good time and everybody's having a good time, you know, music is good music, and when you find the right mix of good music, and I think that's why I've been so good in programming, not to toot my own horn, because I started off as a DJ, so I saw the crowd move,
Right.
and then they said, okay, those can work. Oh, that can work too, and then it led to me programming a radio station. So you know, with the live DJing at the club, and you know, if you're a fan of the music and you like them songs, you like them songs. I know, I'm going to get half of the crowd to love it, and it's a good vibe.
And you guys just celebrated your 5th year at KDAY, correct?
Yeah.
And now you are, obviously, as we mentioned, the program director for the station. KDAY, back in the day, started off kind of as like the all-rap station in New York, in LA originally. How do you stay true to that with so much music now changing from like pop music to you see country mixed in with R&B, mixed in with hip-hop? How do you stay true to who you are as a station?
Well, KDAY was the first... KDAY, when I grew up, was the first rap station of all time.
In the U.S., yeah.
And it was 24 hours a day. And what they did, they were innovated by playing rap music that nobody would play. So that's what the Dr. Dre's used to mix live, and so respect to everybody that was there. What I did when we flipped KDAY in 2009, we said, hey, there's a hole for songs that we grew up that we don't listen to on a normal basis. And so I put together this format of saying, all right, what happened to them old NWA records? What happened to them old Snoop Dogg records and Tupac records, the ones that were hits? Why can't we make a station? If there's a rhythmic oldie station, if there's a classic rock station, hip hop's over 30 years old.
It's crazy.
So, we found this lane, and the way I stay true to it is I stay true to the old school market. And we have dedicated listeners who love the old school, and we just stay true to that, and we don't venture off. But I'm happy that the music is kind of diversing with other genres. I mean, it's good. It means that we all like each other's style of music, and I think that's good for the music business because it's not really growing anymore.
Yeah,
that's
you gotta.
So if you could put stars from country to hip hop, I think that's a good thing.
Do you think that 30 years from now that you'll be able to still stay to that same formula with the station?
Yeah, because now I'll be 60 years in of old school music. So, every year we just gain a new year to add new music.
Yeah.
And so I think KDAY would be around for a while. You'll see a lot more of the stations pop up like this. as the music gets older, you start to see a lot of people who are above 30 say, I really don't want to twerk.
Right.
I still like the old stuff. So
Right.
you're gonna see a lot of these.
They want the line dance.
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely.
Do you guys have a lot of competition or see a dip in your audience with, Sirius radio and things like that now, the whole commercial free?
No, I mean, it goes back to what we said earlier. People still like local things, you know. At the end of the day, satellite can't tell you what's going on Crenshaw Slauson, can't tell you if there's a problem. For us locally, we can tell you, hey, Nate Dogg just died. We can embrace that. We can turn the radio station over to Tupac's birthday.
Right. And
that local stuff just would always win. It would always be here. Because we like to entertain ourselves in our own market. That's why we have local teams.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing.
And what do you love the most about working in radio from all your years?
The freedom to be creative. This job has allowed me to do things that you would never think that we can pull off, whether it be concerts, whether it be, I got an idea. Let's play a station full of old school music, and it allowed me to do that. To see people grow, see some of the talent that I've hired become bigger and better stars, and as a proud father, I would say, it just creatively. I mean, as a kid who used to get in trouble in school for talking too much, turned it into a professional,
successful career. That's great.
That's the beauty of it, just the creativity that you can do, and and I have a radio station that allows me to be very creative, and as long as it makes sense, we will do it.
Well, before we wrap up, we'd like to do a little bit of a rapid fire, get a little more personal. Who is your favorite artist out right now?
Out now? Okay, wow. Well, I can always say Jay-Z because he's always coming out. So I'm a fan of the old Jay-Z as well as I'm still a fan of the new Jay-Z. So I'll take Hov off everybody right now.
Favorite album of all time?
It's a very easy one. And I just saw him yesterday. Ice Cube's Death Certificate.
That's a good one.
Good one.
Favorite album of all time. It's in my car as we speak. I was literally listening to it on the way here.
Your go-to DJ song to get the party started?
Too Short's Blow the Whistle.
Blow the Whistle.
That's a
now, now it's in my head. Now I can hear it. Blow the Whistle. This is no longer an interview. It's a dance party. We got to get down.
Blow the whistle.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so you've accomplished so much in your career. What would you like to conquer next?
Well, we started venturing into concerts. And, KDAY, I built 2 successful concert brands. KDAY's Crush Groove as well as How the West Is Won. And How the West Is Won was something that me and Live Nation came together when I saw the Up in Smoke tour when it came to San Diego.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 1997. I don't know, a while ago. And I remember seeing M, Dre, Snoop, Q, Westside Connection, and
that's a lineup right there.
I mean, and the fact that I can recreate that 20 years later. So I would like to see more of these shows. I like to give back to some of the artists that I grew up as fans first, and give them, let their career still go. Just because they don't make new music, they still got timeless hits, and I would like to continue that as much as possible.
And I know you mentor a lot as well. What would you suggest to someone who is trying to find a mentor, or someone who wants to enter radio but just doesn't know how to do it and wants to meet people like yourself who can give great advice?
Well, I mean, that's what social media is for. I mean, find your favorite talent, find your favorite personality, and hit them. Say, hey, I'm a big fan. People like to be loved.
That's true.
And jocks and talent love to be loved, or they wouldn't be in this business. So, find your favorite radio personality, shoot them a tweet, text, say, hey, man, not a text. If you got their number, then it's... and say, hey, I'm a big fan. What can I do? And usually 9 out of 10 times, unless they're just Oprah or Howard Stern, the local DJs will more likely look out for you. And I say, hey, yeah, what can I do for you? Because we like to give back. Me personally, I like to school people because I think I got a programmer because I want to be a teacher. So I want to teach the craft, and like I said, when I see other talent that has left me and gone on and do bigger and better things, you're proud. You say, hey, you know what? That's good. I'm glad you did that. So you're part of the umbrella. This is the
part of the history.
Yeah, part of the history. So just hit your favorite DJ, hit your favorite person. I mean, and you have more access to them now than you ever did.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hey, tweet, you follow, retweet it.
There's no reason at this point not to reach
right.
them.
If you want to find somebody, you can find them.
And then speaking of schooling your people, how can a person who wants to find out more about you find you on social media?
At Adrian Scott, it's real simple. You can find me on both Twitter and Instagram at that. And A Scott at 935 KDAY. I have no problem giving my email address. That's very simple.
All right.
Very
Thank-
cool.
What about you, Jessica?
Find me on Twitter at I am Jessica King, on Instagram at Jess Clem, and that's it.
I was waiting for more. I was like, how many social outlets?
I don't have the
definitively
Snapchat
end
or the
that
I was like,
sentence.
you got like 15 different things going on.
On Facebook, on Snapchat.
Well, you can find me at Derrial Christon on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you for tuning in to Breaking Into. Adrian, you are the man. I learned a lot about the radio business, and I look forward to continuing to hear you and see what you do at 93.5 as you go the next 30 years.
Well, make sure everybody listens. If you're in the market, or you can online listen to us. We're everywhere.
For sure.
Well, we will see you on the next Breaking Into.
From producers Maria Menounos, Dario Christon, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.